All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're tackling Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule.
Oh, interesting choice.
Yeah, and we're using a YouTube summary from Quick Read to help guide us.
Okay.
And just a heads up, this stuff is intense.
Yeah, I can imagine the 10x rule. It does sound pretty extreme right off the bat.
Right.
Like just hearing the name, you kind of think, whoa.
Exactly. But I gotta say, after digging into this, even if you don't buy into everything Cardone says,
Mm-hmm.
he really makes you think differently about success and what it takes to achieve it.
Yeah, definitely pushes you outside that comfort zone.
So let's start with the basics.
Mhm.
What exactly is this 10X rule?
Well, it boils down to two main things.
Okay.
You got to put in 10 times the effort,
Wow.
and you got to set goals that are 10 times bigger than what you normally would.
10 times the effort. I mean, I feel like I'm already working pretty hard,
Right.
but 10 times the goals, that just sounds, I don't know, almost impossible. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But Cardone's whole point is that we often limit ourselves by setting these small, easily achievable goals.
You wait too low.
Exactly. He's saying, think bigger, bolder. And not just think it, write those massive goals down every single day.
Every day.
Every day. So they're constantly staring you in the face, reminding you what you're really going for.
Okay. I can kind of see how that could be powerful.
Right. It keeps you focused, keeps you motivated, keeps you from getting complacent.
I guess when you're constantly reminded of a huge goal, it changes your perspective on what actions you're willing to take.
Exactly.
So it's not just working hard, it's about pushing yourself way beyond what feels comfortable, right?
100%. He actually gives a really interesting example in the source material from his own life.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
So back when he was in sales, he decided to make 10 times the number of calls than any of his coworkers were making.
Wow.
And the results were, well, not that surprising when you think about it.
I bet he made a lot more sales.
He did. He got recognized for his hustle, ended up getting promoted,
Right.
all because he went 10x on the effort.
So it's not just a motivational thing. It actually translates to tangible results.
That's the idea.
I'm starting to get this.
And you know what I find fascinating is that this 10x thinking, it challenges a lot of the conventional wisdom we hear about success.
Oh, like what?
Well, for one thing, a lot of people view success as this limited resource.
Like a pie, there's only so many slices to go around.
Exactly. And that creates this scarcity mindset. Like, if I succeed, someone else has to fail.
It's me or them.
Right. But Cardone throws that whole idea out the window.
What does he say instead?
He says success is unlimited. There's enough for everyone. It's not a zero-sum game.
That's a pretty empowering way to look at it.
It is. It opens up so many possibilities when you believe there's enough success out there for everyone to achieve their goals.
So no more crabs in a bucket mentality.
No more crabs. And, he also takes on another big assumption we often hear about success.
What's that?
The idea that average is safe.
Oh, yeah, like don't rock the boat, just blend in.
Right, that whole better safe than sorry approach. But Cardone says, actually, average is dangerous.
Whoa, really? Why?
Well, think about it, especially with the economy being so unpredictable these days. If you're just coasting along being average, you're way more vulnerable when things shift unexpectedly.
Oh, I see. Like if you're not constantly pushing yourself to grow and adapt, you can get left behind pretty quickly.
Exactly. And he actually goes even further and challenges another concept that's almost become a mantra in the productivity world.
You mean like work smarter, not harder?
That's the one. He says focusing on time management is actually a limiting belief.
Whoa, hold on. Time management is bad. But everyone's always talking about how important it is to manage your time effectively.
I know, right? It seems counterintuitive.
So what does Cardone say we should focus on instead?
He says instead of budgeting your time, you should focus on finding and creating time.
Okay, that is a huge mind shift. How do you even do that?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll definitely dig into deeper in part 2 of our deep dive.
All right, I'm hooked. I want to hear more about this whole creating time thing.
Me too. It's definitely a thought-provoking concept.
Okay, so we've established that the 10X rule is about pushing yourself to extremes, both in effort and in the goals you set.
And we've seen how it challenges some of our deeply held beliefs about success and how to achieve it.
But it sounds like there's a lot more to unpack here.
Oh, absolutely. We've just scratched the surface.
All right, well, I can't wait to dive deeper into the actionable takeaways from the 10X rule in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
All right, so we've talked about this idea of not just managing time,
Right.
but creating it.
Yeah, like where does that extra time even come from?
Right. It sounds almost magical, but when you dig into the source material,
Okay.
Cardone actually lays out some really practical strategies.
Oh, good, because I was starting to think this was all just like, motivational fluff.
Nope, he gets specific. One thing he emphasizes is leveraging technology.
Technology. But isn't that part of the problem? I feel like I'm constantly bombarded with notifications and emails.
I know, it can feel that way.
Yeah.
But Cardone's point is that technology can also be a powerful tool for freeing up time if you use it strategically.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about all the tools we have at our disposal these days.
Like what?
Automation software, online calendars, project management apps.
Mm-hmm.
All those things can help you streamline tasks, delegate effectively,
Mm-hmm.
and basically just take a lot of the mental load off your plate.
So it's not about getting rid of technology, it's about using it to our advantage.
Exactly. He also talks about the importance of delegation, which I think is huge EE.
Delegation. Oh, that's something I definitely struggle with.
Yeah, me too. It's easy to fall into that trap of thinking, I'm the only one who can do this right.
Or it'll just be quicker if I do it myself.
Right. But that kind of thinking is a recipe for burnout. Cardone's point is that learning to delegate effectively is essential for freeing up your time and energy for the things that only you can do.
That makes sense, but it's definitely easier said than done.
It is. It takes practice. But think about it this way. If you're constantly bogged down in tasks that someone else could be handling,
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to have the time or mental space to focus on those 10x actions, those things that are going to really move the needle.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light. So technology and delegation are key for creating more time.
Yes. And he also talks about the importance of eliminating distractions,
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
which is funny because this is where some of those traditional time management techniques actually come in handy.
Really?
But the focus is different. It's not about cramming more tasks into your schedule. It's about creating blocks of uninterrupted time for deep work.
Oh, I see. So like turning off notifications, putting your phone on silent, maybe even investing in some noise-canceling headphones.
Exactly. Anything you can do to create that focused environment where you can really get into flow and get things done.
Okay, I can definitely see the value in that. It's about being intentional with your time rather than just letting it get eaten up by distractions.
Precisely. And all of this ties back to embracing massive action, which is one of the core principles of the 10x rule.
Right, we talked about that in part one. But I'm still a little wary of that whole becoming obsessive thing. It just sounds so intense.
I get it. I had some reservations about that too. But the source material actually offers some insights that help me see it in a new light.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, I think it's important to remember that Cardone isn't advocating for an unhealthy obsession. What he's really talking about is channeling your energy and passion in a focused way.
Oh, okay. So it's not about being obsessive in a negative sense. It's more about being fully committed to your goals.
That's it. It's about finding something you're truly passionate about and then pouring your heart and soul into it.
Like that saying, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly. But Cardone takes it a step further. He's saying, find something you're passionate about and then work your butt off at it.
Okay. I can see how that aligns with the whole 10X philosophy.
And he emphasizes that this isn't just about work. It applies to any area of life where you want to achieve something extraordinary.
So whether it's raising a family, pursuing a creative passion, or making a difference in your community, that level of dedication and focus can be transformative.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about massive action, becoming obsessive. Now let's tackle this omnipresence thing.
Ooh, yes, omnipresence. I gotta admit, I'm still a little fuzzy on that one.
It's definitely one of the more abstract concepts, I'll give you that.
Like, how do you even be omnipresent? Do you just have to clone yourself?
Haha, right. But the source material does offer some clues.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it this way. Omnipresence, in the context of the 10x rule, isn't about literally being everywhere at once.
Okay, that's a relief.
It's more about maximizing your visibility and impact in your chosen field.
So it's less about physical presence and more about strategic positioning.
Exactly. And this can take many forms. Building a strong online presence is a big one.
Like having a website, being active on social media.
Yes. Creating content, engaging in online communities, networking strategically. These are all ways to increase your visibility and make sure your voice is heard.
So it's not about being in everyone's face all the time. It's about making sure you're present in the right places at the right time.
Precisely. And this ties back to the idea of personal branding.
Oh, interesting. So omnipresence is about being strategic and intentional about how you present yourself to the world.
Yes. What do you want to be known for? What unique value do you bring to the table? Omnipresence is about showcasing those strengths. and making sure the right people are aware of them.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's about crafting a clear message and then amplifying it.
Exactly. But, I can imagine some people might be hesitant about this whole putting yourself out there thing.
Yeah, especially if they're more introverted.
Right. And I think it's important to remember that omnipresence doesn't have to be loud or flashy.
Oh, good point.
It's about finding the platforms and strategies that feel authentic to you, that allow you to connect with your target audience in a way that feels comfortable.
So maybe instead of trying to be on every social media platform, you focus on one or two that really align with your strengths and interests.
Exactly. Or maybe instead of trying to be a charismatic speaker, you focus on building relationships through one-on-one conversations or written communication.
I love that. It's about tailoring the 10X rule to fit your own personality and goals. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. The key is to leverage your strengths and find ways to make your presence felt in a way that feels genuine to you.
Awesome. You know, one thing that really stood out to me from this deep dive is the emphasis on mindset.
Oh, absolutely. It all comes back to mindset.
The source material highlights some specific traits of successful people, and it's not about talent or luck or anything like
It's
that.
all internal, right?
Yes, having a can-do attitude, persevering through challenges, being persistent, being willing to take risks,
Well,
all that.
these are all things we can cultivate regardless of our circumstances.
Exactly. And you know what? I gotta admit, when we first started this deep dive, I was pretty skeptical.
Yeah, the 10X thing can sound a little over the top.
But I'm starting to see the appeal of this mindset. It's not about being perfect or never making mistakes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
about embracing challenges, taking bold action, and constantly striving to reach your full potential.
Absolutely. And I think that's a message that can resonate with anyone, regardless of their goals.
Okay, so we've talked about how to create more time, we've talked about channeling our passion and energy, and we've talked about how to position ourselves strategically for success.
We covered a lot of ground.
But I'm curious, what are your final thoughts on how all of this connects to the listener, to their everyday life?
That's a great point. It's one thing to understand these concepts in theory, but the real challenge is putting them into practice. And I think that's where the 10X rule really shines. It gives us a set of actionable principles that can be tailored to fit our own individual goals and aspirations.
So it's less about following a rigid set of rules and more about using these principles as a springboard for our own journey of growth and achievement.
Exactly. It's about taking what resonates with us and adapting it to our own unique circumstances. And, that's what I find so exciting about this concept.
Mm.
It's not just about achieving external success. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves and living a life that feels rich and fulfilling on our own terms.
I love that. It's about aligning our actions with our values.
Absolutely. And finding that sweet spot where our passion and purpose intersects.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here in part two. We've delved deeper into those actionable takeaways, and I think we've provided some valuable insights for our listener.
Hopefully some food for thought.
I'm excited to wrap things up and leave our listeners with some final inspiration in part three. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the 10X rule.
Part 3.
We've covered a lot of ground, the core concepts, the mindset shifts. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that I think is really important, and that's the role of fear.
Oh yeah, fear, that's a big one.
Because when you start talking about 10X goals and massive action, it's natural to feel some fear, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, you're taking risks. There's bound to be some fear involved.
And I think that's where Cardone's emphasis on mindset becomes so crucial.
Oh yeah, mindset is everything.
Because if you let fear dictate your actions, you'll never reach your full potential.
You'll stay stuck, right?
Exactly. And the source material actually touches on this in a really interesting way. Remember when we talked about Cardone's view on success being unlimited?
There's enough for everyone.
Right.
Right.
Well, if you truly believe that,
Yeah.
then fear becomes less about scarcity, like, oh, there's not enough success to go around,
Right.
and more about self-doubt, like, am I even capable of achieving this?
That's a really good point. It's about shifting the focus from external limitations to internal beliefs.
Exactly. So instead of asking, is there enough success to go around, we should be asking, do I believe I'm capable of achieving what I desire?
I love that. It's about taking ownership of your own success.
And I think that's where all the actionable strategies we discussed earlier come in.
Oh yeah, they're not just about productivity or efficiency. They're about building confidence and momentum.
So by taking massive action, even if it's in small steps,
Yeah,
we start to see that we're capable of more than we thought.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we encounter and overcome challenges, our belief in ourselves grows.
And then that helps us push through fear and keep striving for those 10x goals.
It's like a positive feedback loop. The more we act, the more confident we become, and the more we feel capable of taking on even bigger challenges.
I love that. It's like action breeds confidence. Confidence breeds more action.
Exactly. And it's not about becoming fearless. It's about learning to act in spite of fear.
That's a really important distinction.
You know, one of the things that really resonated with me from this whole deep dive was this emphasis on creating wealth, not just in a financial sense,
Yeah.
but in a holistic sense.
Like building a life that's rich with meaning and purpose.
Exactly. And Cardone's a personal example of waking up an hour earlier to spend time with his daughter, even with his crazy busy schedule.
Right.
Just highlights that success isn't just about external achievements.
It's about those small moments, those connections, those things that truly matter.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's about aligning your actions with your values and creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
I think that's a really beautiful message.
It is. And, you know, for someone who might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but I have no idea where to even begin.
Yeah.
I would say the first step is to identify an area of your life where you feel stuck or unfulfilled.
Okay, so maybe it's your career, your relationships, your health,
Whatever it is, that's where you start.
and then
Apply the 10X lens to that area. Ask yourself, what would it look like to set a 10X goal in this domain? What actions would I need to take to move towards that goal? What beliefs are holding me back?
it's about getting really clear on what you want and then figuring out the steps you need to take to get there.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about achieving perfection overnight. It's about making those small, consistent steps in the right direction.
It's about embracing the journey and recognizing that even setbacks are opportunities for growth and learning.
And that's what I find so inspiring about the 10X rule. It's not a quick fix or a magic formula. It's a mindset, a way of approaching life with boldness, determination, and an unwavering belief in your own potential.
Yeah, it's about pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible.
Absolutely. And you know, even if someone isn't fully on board with the 10X approach, I think there's a lot of value in simply being exposed to these concepts. It can spark a shift in perspective, challenge us to think bigger, and encourage us to step outside our comfort zones.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe by simply considering the possibility of 10x thinking, we might unlock hidden potential and achieve things we never thought possible.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this question. What would it look like for you to embrace the 10X mindset in just one area of your life?
What goal would you set? What action would you take today to start moving towards that goal?
It's a question worth pondering.
And as you embark on your own 10x journey, remember, success is a journey, not a destination.
It's about constant growth
Learning.
and pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 10x rule.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And maybe even a little bit challenging.
Until next time, keep striving for greatness.
Remember, the only limits are the ones you set for yourself.